Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Piofiore 1926 in Dante's Route, starting the bad endings. Yeah, so that's where we are. I loaded up our save that we made to start our bad, tragic ending. So this should be the super long one, so we won't be able to finish it in this part, but anyway. This is where we were sleeping, and he walked into the room, and we this time keep pretending. I thought it might embarrass him if I woke up now, so I decided to keep pretending. Dante must have been gazing at me for a while, but eventually he left, and the room was filled with silence once more. Oh, so we don't get that scene where, like, we wake up and then he stays with us, and he holds us like a cat. He just leaves. Aww. Well, there we go. Chapter 4. We're going to skip a lot of this, but then chapters 5 and 6 should be all new chapters. So. Ooh, okay. Skipping already. Oh, I prayed for his work to go smoothly so that he could return home safely. Okay, never mind. That's because we're going to the Meanwhile story, which automatically happens, but we got to skip this shit. I thought it stopped because I'm like, oh, it must be slightly different because Dante left the room instead of staying that night, but nope. All right. Don't tell Nicola we're here! Shh! And Nico's like, are you done fucking hiding from me? I'll do my best. I'm not sure how much support I can give to Dante, but I'll do my best. And don't you start now. I know you've always done your best for Dante, and it works. Nicola chuckled and praised me again. You're doing your best at learning English as well, even if you did nothing. To be honest, I'm sure you'll continue to save Dante in no small way as long as you're with him. I really hoped that was the case, but if it were possible, I'd want to be of even greater help. You can count on me. I made a quiet vow inside my heart to do my very best. We skipped the Meanwhile story. Skip that shit. Don't even need to look. We skip them all. Don't ask. I shouldn't ask him to take on even more work with as busy as he is. What is it? Oh, it's nothing. I shook my head, but a slight pang of guilt remained. I do wish I could thank them somehow. These are... No, okay, we skip that one. I know that there's two... I didn't know if it was both of them, so... I mean, we always gotta skip them all anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll just... Yep. Not even gonna bother looking anymore. We just skip them all. Skip them! Don't read them! I really do like the Meanwhile stories. I like how they do that. I'm prepared for anything. I knew who the Mafia is and what they do. I know who the Mafia is and what they do. I don't know why I started to read that past tense. Like, I knew who they were when I got involved with them, and then I was like, I knew who they is. Wait, what? Jesus. Anyway. Even so, I chose to stand beside Dante. I'm prepared for anything that comes. He stared at me as if trying to gauge my true feelings, then responded coldly. If you're prepared, then so be it. And we die. But no, not really. Instead of being like, I know Dante wouldn't do that, we're like, yeah, whatevs. I don't care if he did. And he's like, but I didn't. Like, but I wouldn't care if you did. I thank you. Sorry, my bird gave me. Skip that shit. Skip that shit. I was like, I think we get another one. Like, I get it stops in case you want to, like, you know, check it, but about buildings. It was about their buildings. They have so many buildings taller than a church steeple in New York. Yes, the landscape there is certainly different from what we can see in Berlin. I've heard they're constructing another skyscraper that will become the tallest structure in the world. Amazing! I can hardly imagine how tall that building might be. Are you interested in going there? To New York, I mean. Oh, yes, but I'm sure I'd spend much more time looking up at buildings that I wouldn't see anything else. And they tell you, don't do that because then you look like a tourist. But I mean, like... Nope, sorry, Dante. Skipping that shit. Nope. 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 Skipping those. Now we're in new chapter 5. Nella Nevia. Okay. A few days passed. Just as Dante was heading out for work, he began to speak as if remembering something. I may be back later than usual tonight. I have a meeting with Gilbert. Ew. Are you going to meet him for dinner? Dante shook his head. No, he asked me to meet at the casino, so I assume it'll be mostly business. See, it sounds important. I'm still unsure what it's about, but go ahead and have dinner ahead of me if it gets late. Okay, I will. I nodded in response. Goodbye, now do your best! Do your best, Dante. He tenderly returned my smile. I feel like I can do anything as long as you smile at me like that. Thank you. He then gave me a kiss on the cheek as usual. Dante's been really busy recently, so we haven't had much time together. I hope we could spend more time together again like we used to once things settled. Dante stepped into the car and departed. After watching the car drive off, I headed back inside. I'm sorry, my bird's just in my face, so he gets kisses, okay? So just, like, you usually know when my bird is with me because I tell you, you can probably fucking hear him, like, sometimes if he's chattering away, but, like, so I'm not just randomly giving you kisses. I mean, if it makes you feel better, sure, fine, but, like, I'm giving them to my bird, so it's not weird. Like, you can make it weird if you want to, that's fine with me, but, like, I feel like I have to say that, because, like, did you just kiss us? No, I kissed my bird, because he's there, and I can't help it. Like, he's just so fucking cute, that I just love giving him kisses and snuggles. Like, it is just weird, though, because he's kind of, like, right in my face, and I'm like, if I talk too much, I'm gonna smack you with my chin, so it's like, but he just doesn't care. Oh. And I try to move a little bit, and then he just moves closer, and it's like, good fucking god, I'm gonna be like, the weirdest angles. On my way back to my room, I bumped into Julia in the hallway. Oh, my, good morning to you. Has young Dante left already? Yes. Oh, and he said he may not be back in time for dinner tonight. I see. Do you have any plans today? I was just thinking of reading a book I was just thinking of reading a book I borrowed from Dante. Is that so? Well then, let me bring you something to snack on in your room. Thank you, Julia. Oh, and do you remember the conversation we had before? I don't know much about these things, but perhaps learning the subjects needed in this day and age would be a good place to start. I finally found something helpful to do because of what you told me back then. Well, this is nice, a touching moment with Julia. I've been wanting to thank you for your advice. Why, you don't have to thank me. I've heard you've been doing very well. And the boys here are all very impressed. In fact, even young Dante told me how amazed he is at your progress. Really? I was moved beyond belief to hear that Dante had complimented me. I returned to my room and immediately started reading The Great Gatsby. I could see why Dante recommended it. As soon as I started, I was drawn in. Reading in English was even more enjoyable now that I didn't need to consult a dictionary as often. Again, she, like, learned English in, like, a week. It ain't that fucking easy. Some of us are still struggling. Like, we've been doing it for decades, and we're like, I don't understand. It's that, what's the frickin', thing, and it's like, English is difficult, but it can be learned. It's something about, like, through thorough thought, though, and when you see that written out and you're like, through thorough thought and though, they're basically all the fucking set, and you're like, Jesus. Like, could you stop? And, like, or, like, sometimes when you're like, is, or, like, here, like, certain words you're like, nope, it doesn't make sense that you use that word twice in a row, but yes, actually it does, because English is fucking stupid. Like, so I'm just throwing it out there. I'm gonna call shenanigans that she learned in, like, a week. I was like, there are people that have been speaking it their whole lives and still fucking can't get it down, so. And then you're reading The Great Gatsby. This is not like reading a modern book. Like, books back in the day were, like, a lot more flowery. Of course, it's been a long time since I've read The Great Gatsby, so maybe it's fine. But, like, certain other books, you were like, what the hell is this? Oh, they mean it was nice. Could they have just said that? There's, like, it's like reading a Stephen King novel, where you're like, it's 400 pages in, and nothing's happened, because I've literally just spent 398 of these pages describing the tree and the yard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's a little too much. No, but like, I'm serious, Stephen King, when I read Pet Sematary, my God, I'm pretty sure I got 400 pages into that book and I'm like, nothing, the cat hasn't even died yet. What the fuck? Like, it's like a train wreck. I can't. I used to love Dean Koontz, though. I haven't read one in a while because, like, to be honest, let's be honest, all he writes most of the time it was like Odd Thomas books. That came out and then it just became, and I was like, and that one wasn't my favorite. I think he's got a new character that he writes a lot of books about, but I don't know. Just lost their magic. I don't know. Anyway. I'm not saying I would never read them again, but it's like, it used to be like, oh, there's a new one coming out! And then you'd have to get it, and now I'm like, there's probably about 30 out since the last time I read one, to be honest. But anyway. I'm gonna call it bullshit that reading in English is even more enjoyable. She didn't need to consult a dictionary as often. Like, bullshit. The story took place in America. I mean, go fig. The narrator of the story, Nick, was a Great War veteran who moved to New York in 1922. I like how we're getting the plot of The Great Gatsby. Kind of cool. With the events of the story being so recent, the incidents that unfolded felt so real. Before long, I was fully immersed in the book, and the hours flew by. Sorry for having you come all the way out here. I was wondering if we were going to find out what this was about. Gilbert sounded much more serious than usual. Bird, you cannot shove yourself into my esophagus. It was clear that his objective in calling me to the casino was not just for small talk. You know, I've seen you as a friend ever since we got rid of the Lao Shu, which is why I need to ask you, plain and simple. You and Nicholas snoop around to see if my goods were snatched, right? You're not stupid. That's why you looked into it. If you'd figured it out a little sooner, we could have gone a different way. Gilbert? What was he trying to say? The boss of the Visconti family stared straight at me. I'm gonna take this town. Verlona's mine. Oh my God, we're gonna actually fight with Gil now? I don't like it. No! I didn't like it when I thought he was backstabbing me, and then I really believed it, and then I was like, oh, thank God, Raul's trying to bamboozle us, thank God. But like, no, now Gil's really gonna do it. Gil, you have no one to blame but yourself. Why are you mad at Dante? You lied to us. Oh, this hurts. We're gonna have to kill Oliver now to spite him. I really thought we were gonna get away from this. What in the world are you talking about? It wasn't easy. I gave it a lot of thought. I sought other options, but unfortunately, my time's up. It took more effort than usual to hide my confusion, but I somehow managed. What led you to this decision? Guess you can say it was all for the family. Plenty of things led me to it, but I have no intention of telling you anything. And this hurts Dante because he thought they were friends, even if he denied it. Sorry, Dante. Starting tomorrow, we're enemies. Oh, I don't like this tragic bad ending already. Dante's route really is the best. Because all the other ones, you're like, no, and this one it's like, no, but no, what the hell? Everyone being enemies with Yang is one thing, because Yang's a douche, right? We love him, but he's trash. Okay, and everybody hates him for a reason. But like, you know, the Visconti and the Falzone are supposed to be buddies. We're supposed to help each other, and like, I don't like where this is going. We finally got it happy. We're like, oh, thank God, Gil, you weren't backstabbing me. We are friends. And now we're gonna have to fucking kill Oliver. You know, Gil, why do you make me do these things? I like this route because it hurts me the most. Because this shit, you're like, I don't like this. Why? Why do you make me have to think these things? Oh. It was late at night. As expected, Dante still hadn't come home, even though it was past dinner time. He's probably crying in the car somewhere. He did tell me to go on without him if he wasn't here, but I passed some time in the salon for a while, staring at the clock in the hopes that Dante would return soon. Shortly afterward, I heard the rumble of a car engine approaching and slowly turning off. Could Dante be back? I straightened up in my seat and waited, and sure enough, he walked into the salon. Welcome home. I stood up from the sofa to greet him, and it was then that I noticed his dark expression. Poor Dante. Something happened? My curiosity got the better of me, and I chose my words carefully. Dante, you look tired. Are you feeling all right? Would you like some dinner? I'm fine. Sorry for worrying you. I'm not hungry at the moment, so I'll be working. As I was suddenly realizing it, Dante looked at me again. Could it be you haven't had dinner yet? Oh, no, that's not it. I was hungry a bit earlier, so I've actually eaten already. I see. That's good. He nodded with relief, leaving the salon. Oh, we were like, no, I haven't. I was waiting for you. And you're like, no, I ate. So your stomach is growling, and you're like, yesterday. Breakfast. I ate breakfast. After having a quiet dinner alone, I cleared the dishes and brought them to the kitchen. I decided to discuss with Julia something that had been on my mind throughout dinner. Julia, do you think I should take something light for Dante to eat? He didn't seem hungry, so perhaps a drink? Oh, let me see. How about some Canarino? Something like that. With a few sweet chocolates on the side. That's a great idea. I'm sure that would do. Julia told me to leave the dishes, but of course I helped her clean up the rest. I then started preparing a nighttime snack for Dante. He's not hungry because he's heartbroken. I think the only thing that would hurt him more is if Nicholas stabbed him in the back, and then a little bit more than that would be if we left him. These are the top 3 betrayals. I stood in front of his office with a tray in hand, then proceeded to knock on the door. A few seconds passed, but I didn't hear anything. He usually responds right away if he hears someone knocking. There was a long pause in which I wasn't sure what to do, but I finally heard Dante's voice from inside the office. Come in. I slowly opened the door, probably crying. Sounds like maybe it's the trash truck finally. I hope I'm not bothering you. I brought this so that maybe you could snack on something during a break. I slowly placed the steaming Canarino at the end of his desk. Next to it, I set down a small plate of chocolates. Well, if you'll excuse me. I quickly and quietly made my way to the door when suddenly... Space. I turned around. Even though he had just spoken my name, he sat there silently, saying nothing. I wasn't sure what to do next. Did he stop me because there was something he wanted to say? I chose my words wisely. You can talk to me about anything. It may not be of much help, but if I can somehow share the burden with you, I'm here to listen. As I expected, he hesitated for a moment. If a friend of yours decided it was time to part ways, what would you do? I'd punch him in the fucking face and tell him no. I wasn't prepared at all for that question. I gathered my thoughts for a moment before replying. I'd be like, I would tell them no, and if they insisted, I would torture their fucking lawyer. It's like, what? I'm just saying. If Gil wants war, go into war. And I will sacrifice Oliver to spite him. We've had this conversation. I don't like it any more than anybody else, but... Well, if it was because I did something wrong, I'd certainly try to make amends, but... If I wasn't sure why they felt that way, I would talk to them about it. Dante's just been in his office, pining over this. It's adorable. Would it help to apologize first? It may, but if you're not sure what you're apologizing for, they may not accept it. I think knowing how to make things right again would help make the apology more meaningful. I see. I appreciate your thoughts. Grazie. Dante nodded with satisfaction at my answer, appearing to regain his composure. I'm glad I could be of help. Well, good luck with your work. We're like, wait, what friend? You were talking... Could we not put pieces together? You went to see Gil. Is Gil breaking up with us? With one last smile, I left his office. Sorry for the wait, Carlo. The moment I stepped into my room, Carlo pounced at my feet as if he'd been waiting for me. Did you jump because of... Don't buy my headset. Did you jump because you heard the kitty or because my throat moved? Because your head was like jammed in my fucking esophagus. How about we cuddle together tonight? How about we cuddle together? This is what you're doing right now. Cuddling with me, and I love it. You go, birdie. I love bird cuddles. Carlo immediately meowed in response. I got dressed for bed, then slipped under the covers with Carlo in my arms. Dante. It sounded like he got into a fight with Gil. Ah. Friend. I'll try talking to Gilbert again. He often jokingly referred to me as his friend. I used the same word when telling Space about what happened, but even before tonight's meeting, we were still the heads of rival families. I've kept my distance when speaking to him since blurring those lines could mean trouble, but I was surprised by how shocked I was when he said we were enemies. I've become so naive. Only now did I notice that I'd actually considered him a friend all along. Oh, stop! Oh, it's gonna make me cry. It hurts. Poor Dante. I took a deep breath and picked up the receiver. He's gonna call and be like, "Why do you hate me? What did I do? Please." It sounded like he got into a fight with Gil. Could he have done something to make Gil angry? I pulled the blanket over my shoulders, hoping they could make up and be friends again. I know, I hope too, but I don't think it's gonna work out that way. The next day, I passed the time playing with Carlo and helping Julia in the kitchen. My day was spent no differently from any other as I awaited Dante's return. By the way, Signorina, I heard you've been reading some difficult English books lately. Yes, I've been using them to study English. Huh, it's pretty amazing. The only language I know is Italian. Then again, you can't get much use out of English in this town, can you? That's true, but I thought it might come in handy one day. I was sitting with one of the members of the family having a chat over a cup of coffee. Suddenly, one of the soldiers came rushing into the salon. We've got trouble! Our consigliere was hit! What? You mean Calvino? And they got him when he was walking down Via Pietro! The air grew cold as everyone in the salon was shaken by the sudden news. I'm gonna assume it was probably Gil. I'm gonna think that we're not gonna have the Teo fucking shootout and Gil's gonna be the one that kills Dante in the tragic end. Is the tragic end we kill Oliver in retaliation? Because that's fairly tragic for me, but I feel like it has to be done now. What the hell? Who did it? It was definitely the fucking Visconti. Dante finally returned home at night. He looked exhausted and tense at the same time. Space, I need to speak to you a moment. And can you come to my office? I nodded quietly and followed after him. On entering the office, Dante took off his hat and coat, then turned toward me. I'm sure you've heard by now, but Calvino was killed. Yes, one of the men came to the salon this afternoon to let everyone know. Lao Shu hadn't made any noticeable movements recently. We were also getting along with the Visconti. Not really! Can't think of anyone who would attack someone in the Falzone family now. Although the government was outspoken in their desire to get rid of the Mafia, it didn't seem like they'd resort to assassination. Which means, could it have been one of those who had escaped the Purge? I mustered the strength to ask my question. Dante, do you know who it was who killed him? He looked sad. Oh, God. Dante's expression turned grim, and he fell silent for a few seconds. He finally answered in a firm voice. It was the Visconti. Knew it. He had dinner with Gil only recently. Being confronted by such unexpected news rendered me speechless. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there, Gil. How fucking dare you? Because you know what? In your timeline, Nicola and Dante... Well, was Dante alive then? No, well, Nicola was dead, definitely, actually. Never mind. Dante was. But he was helping you. Dante was there for you. Like, we did not, the Fell Zone didn't cross us when I lived with you. What the fuck? You jealous? Is it because I'm with Dante now? Are you that jealous? I'm just saying, I know it's a different timeline, but still, I expect some kind of, harmony amongst my timelines, alright? Jesus, Gil. Shame! Being confronted by such unexpected news rendered me speechless. It's not rendering me speechless. I'm angry. And I'm gonna get my vengeance, and I'm gonna do it the hard way. We know what that is. I don't say it. Judging by Dante's demeanor, I doubted that he was speaking from a place of speculation. So then, that talk about friends yesterday. Our conversation from last night came to mind. But why all of a sudden? I'm not sure. All I know is that Gilbert told me himself that we were enemies starting today. Again, I think you know what we need to do, Dante. And Dante's really good at torturing people. We saw that with Raoul and Orlok and Orlok's bad ending in the first game. Look, that ending haunts me a little, okay? Like, the Nicola bad ending haunts me in a good way. It's like, oh, I know this is like a bad ending, but I'm here for it. But this one, you were like, Dante, what the hell? It's just like, oh my god. Like, I just wasn't. So I'm just saying, our little marshmallow knows how to cut a bitch. So I'm just saying, I think it's time to go pick up a lawyer. I hate that we have to resort to this, but I've been having Nicola investigate whether the Visconti's goods have been confiscated in a similar manner to ours. Gilbert caught wind of it and told me that he was going to take Boulogne, which means this will escalate into an all-out war. Even as Dante was explaining what happened, the thing is I'd be like, yeah, because I want to know what the fuck was going on, and you were going to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I still couldn't fathom why things had been led down this path. Is there any chance we could talk to him? Dante slowly shook his head, doing his best to respond without worrying me. I doubt that's possible. I called him last night so that we could talk it over, but he dropped the call. What's more, it seems they moved immediately after that. The person they hit was someone who plays a critical role in the family. And we're missing Nicola. He's someone that we can't do without. But now he's... Gilbert is serious. Given that, we need to make preparations to face them head on. I'm just saying, I know exactly how to handle this, Dante. Dante looked pained as he spoke, but he gave a small chuckle to cover it up. And the upside is that I have no time to ruminate. Naturally, this will be even harder without Nicola. Though, perhaps it's for the best that Nicola isn't here, especially considering what could still happen. In that moment, I felt the gravity of this situation. Not only Dante, but everyone associated with the family was now in danger. I mean, I'm not gonna not gonna lie. I make jokes that we should, frickin' take Oliver out to hurt Gil the most. And I hate that, but I kind of stand by the thought that, that would hurt Gil the most. Oh, you could attack his men. But attacking Oliver, we saw that. That'd be like Gil taking out Nicola. Or, Gil taking out Dante for, the two of them, you know what I mean? Oliver is Gil's Nicola in this situation, right? It's the person closest to him. And we saw what happened when Yang went in there and he was like, Oliver. He was, you know what I mean? It was, oh my god, all my men, but it was also, Oliver! And, I'm just saying, he got as choked up as we did. So, the game would actually be extremely smart. I would hate it a little, but, whatever. I've made my peace with the fact that this has to be done. If, in this scenario, we went after Oliver and took him out. I'm just saying. That's the smartest course. Not, oh, we're hitting the Visconti. It's like, nope. Let's purposely go. You know what I mean? Because that's if the plot hadn't had Nicola in America, they would have gone after Nicola, and Nicola would have been dead in this route too. That poor fucker can't get away with anything, can he? You know what I mean? He would definitely not have survived this. But he was in America for the plot, so instead of being like, oh, we'll make him come back and then he dies, it's like, oh, okay, we'll kill somebody else who's, really important that we never freaking heard of before, really. They might have mentioned him in the first one, but you know what I mean. He doesn't have a sprite or anything. So, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it would make 100% sense if this is what we did. And it's still gonna fucking hurt me, even though I've been preparing for it. Like, well, we just gotta take fucking Oliver out. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. You know, it's one of those things you talk about it just to prepare yourself for when it happens. If it doesn't, it'd be kind of stupid, because that's, like, honestly, in this scenario, the best course of action next to taking out Gil. You know what I mean? Take Oliver out, watch Gil crumble, and then take that motherfucker down. Look, I'm just saying, I want Gil to hurt the way we hurt with him breaking up with us and not being our friend and backstabbing us. So that's the best course of action. So war against the Visconti was unavoidable now. I knew all along that something like this could happen one day. But Barlone had been at peace for as long as I called this place home. I still couldn't believe what was happening. I'm sorry to take away your freedom so often, but please stay inside until I take care of it. Take care of it? Getting rid of the Visconti. The tone of Dante's voice was resolute, carrying with it a sense of finality. Unfortunately, it won't be too difficult to do. The Visconti's power is concentrated solely on its head. Get rid of him and the rest is easy. He said it so matter-of-factly, as though it was an ordinary job, but what he was implying was... I feel my stomach sinking. I'm sure Dante feels the same way. Which means... Gil. Yes, I'm going to kill Gilbert. I couldn't say a word in response. I knew what he said wasn't something to be taken lightly. Dante continued on in a way that made me wonder if he was speaking to himself. There's no other way. I cannot allow this to be the end of the Falzone. As boss, I will protect my family and its mission. No intention of changing my priorities. Woo! The Visconti didn't take great pains to cover their tracks, and their message to the Falzone was quite clear. Of course, and this meant that time was up. Gilbert Redford would be embarking on an approach governed by force. The warring between the families will begin again. He's not like Silvio at all. He doesn't possess the talent to lead the family as Silvio did. No, perhaps he does possess the talent, but it's far too soft to withstand the burdens that come with leading a criminal organization. What to do? Stop comparing me to my dad. God. Ooh, Raul. Oh, right, Raul's not dead. Right. We don't get to torture Raul because we don't have our torture friend. Oh, anyway. Senor Redford, finally decided to take things into your own hands, I see. And that's a relief. And now I can finally send a good report to the Lu Huanhu. Did you have fun being friends with him? Of course it's all about survival at the end of the day. Come now, I'm simply praising you. In fact, I admire your keen business acumen. The future of the Visconti is bright, no doubt. I'll wrap things up here and you'll be free to move to Chicago anytime. Oh, and do remember to take care of what we discussed, won't you? The thing is, like, we knew in the thing, Gil's gonna do this, and they're just gonna take Gil out. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I knew damn well that, like, if I took you out and did this, they were gonna cut me off too. You know what I mean? Like, he knew that was never part of the deal, but now he's gonna kill Dante and, like, end up getting himself killed. And honestly, if the tragic end is Gil kills Dante, I really do hope we see that, like, Raul and, like, Yuan or whatever kill Gil, and it's like, that's what you get! I'm not gonna be sad about it, Gil. It's what you deserve for taking down Dante, you idiot. We're all gonna die. It's the tragic end, so. That particular request wasn't from the Lu Huanhu, but from the other. But Gilbert need not know the details. This extra job would be his way of making up for keeping me waiting such a long time. Killing me, probably. As boss, I will protect my family and its mission. I have no intention of changing my priorities. Is this really the only way? What would happen from this point onward? My heart was gripped with dread. A few days after the consigliere was killed, everyone in the family was on edge. Dante remained in the manor to avoid danger. His men often came here to visit him. The phone seemed to ring off the hook, but Dante attended to his work the same as always. Seeing how serious things had become, I wanted to offer help, but there was little I could do. I kept myself busy by cleaning around the manor and helping Julia in the kitchen. The days continued to pass in that manner. One afternoon, I saw Domenico come into the kitchen.
Hey there, Signorina. Julia. What are you two whipping up today?
We're making some... Zabaglione? Something. I don't know what it is. It should be ready soon. I tried. I can't. There's too many vowels in there. I'd whisked together egg yolks and sugar and then added sweet wine and simmered it down until it had been reduced to a thick custard. Okay. It tasted good on its own, but I planned to serve it with sweet berries and a biscuit.
You mind sharing some with me now? I need the sugar to get my brain working.
It looks like it. You seem to be more tired than ever today.
That obvious, huh?
Domenico shrugged and laughed. At that moment, Leo came into the kitchen, looking surprised to see us all together.
Huh? Domenico? What are you doing here? Jeremy's been looking for you. I'm having a break. Come on, you two, Leo. They're getting some whatever word I can't read ready for us.
I want to call them Zambonis, but that's not right. Domenico waved Leo over, and I decided to ask him something that was on my mind. Say, Domenico, feels like there are a lot of people coming here recently. He nodded at my observation.
We got our boys coming with reports and getting directives. That part's pretty much business as usual. But now we got a ton of other things we need to take care of compared to before. Especially after our consigliere died.
What sorts of things?
Boys are always in touch with him about things, like if they're having problems with us or when they want to talk to the boss. But now that he's gone, that channel's blown up and they're getting real frustrated. What that means for us...
Capo Regime? Is that Capo Regime? I think, anyways.
We're more bogged down than usual. Not to mention leadership's been down since the purge. Some guys got promoted to fill in, but they're still spinning their wheels a bit. Which is why we need Domenico and the other Capo Regimes to do their best. And the boss can't cover for everyone down to the end of the line.
If only young Nicola were still here in Berlin to help. Julia's voice was heavy, as though she felt guilty that she couldn't help in the situation herself. Domenico scratched his head.
Well, the boss is doing his best now. His initial response was like lightning, too. To be honest, if it weren't for the boss's quick thinking, things would have gone south real fast. Heck, one wrong move and we could have lost a ton of our men.
Yes, of course. I have no doubt that young Dante's doing his very best. But if young Nicola were here, young Dante would have another set of hands to help out.
Yeah, in that sense, the timing couldn't have been worse.
His words brought a thought to mind. But it wasn't just bad timing, was it? Hearing my mumbling, Leo looked at me with a bewildered expression, like, do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do. The peppy fucking music is not, like, fitting with, like, the heaviness of this right now, but... The reason why Nicola went to America in the first place was to investigate the confiscation of goods there, right? What if that had all been set up by the Visconti from the very beginning? I'm sorry, I suppose I've been reading too many novels lately.
No, it's certainly possible.
Dante? You could hear his footsteps. Is there a problem, young Dante? I didn't expect you to come down to the kitchen.
I just wanted to get something to drink.
Oh my, you could have simply told one of our maids to fetch a drink for you.
I haven't stepped outside in days, and this is as close as I can to get to a walk at the moment. And that aside...
Dante paused for a moment and looked at me.
About what you said earlier, let's assume the Visconti had everything set up to have our goods seized by customs.
Which kind of, with the Lu Huanhu and like the and like Raoul and like all that shit, we kind of know.
And naturally I would send someone there to look into the matter, and who better to represent the Falzone than Nicola?
And so the Visconti set everything up so that Nicola'd be out of town? Yeah, because Nicola's pretty fucking good with the guy. I'm just saying, he's pretty tough, so...
Yes. Gilbert knows very well how crucial Nicola is to our operations. Knowing Gilbert, it seems fair to assume that he's been planning this all to create the opportune moment to strike. I'm gonna say we get some bombs and blow his house up. Of course, I have no intention of failing in Nicola's absence. I will protect the family, even if our underboss is away. You really are something, boss.
Domenico looked inspired by Dante's declaration.
You know, we haven't fought the same battles. We're war buddies now, aren't we, Dante?
No.
And say we're buddies.
Oh, Dante, you don't need to be embarrassed.
I forgive you, Dante. Don't you worry that pretty head of yours. I'm not worried at all.
Recalling that memory no longer made me smile, and I couldn't help but feel down about it. I know, right? I had such a good time with Gil. I couldn't help but ask, are you okay, Dante? You know, why is this happening?
I mean, that's exactly what I want to know. We kind of already know, but you know what I mean.
Are you okay, Dante? Dante used the word friend to describe Gil when he was trying to hide the subject. Knowing that they had gotten much closer, I was sure that Dante was suffering over it now. I know, right? And, I mean, I love the way they do this, because you're like, oh, but this hurts that Gil betrayed us. Because you feel for Dante. You know what I mean? You can, like, feel his pain here.
Things are tough now, but our capo regimes have been doing their best to support me. And now's not the time for rest. We've got work to do. Namely, I'll be looking into why the Visconti has suddenly broken our truce. Let's keep our guard up against them while we look into who's been pulling the strings.
And got it. I'll do my best. Don't get hurt, Leo. Leo responded enthusiastically, and Domenico gave a firm, resolute nod. Is it just me, or is it really funny that it looks like Leo's only wearing one suspender? Oh, now I can kind of see the other one. Okay. All of a sudden, I was like, I know his jacket's off to the side, but it's like, it's because the angle of his it looks like his body's front on, but it's kind of really not. You can kind of see next to that button on our left, his right, our left, you can kind of see that little bit of the bottom of his suspender right there. Okay. I don't know. It was just something that I was like, where's your other suspender, bro? Nice touch, though, that they were like, you can kind of just see it poking out a teeny bit. I just noticed the weirdest shit at the weirdest times. Anyway. I love Leo so much. Of all the times I had to be away, could a single person be behind the Visconti's attack? Perhaps there's an entire organization hiding in the shadows. What we do know is that the Visconti killed one of our men, which means that we can't let them go, no matter the reason. I can only hope he kept his priorities straight. The family needed their boss now more than ever. He couldn't let them down. Nicola's like, you better not fuck this up! Like, listen! 2 weeks had passed since the attack. The Visconti and the Falzone were now at war. Despite several raids and skirmishes, there had fortunately not been any casualties yet, aside from fucking, what's his name? Silvino? In the meantime, Dante was working with the top brass to investigate the situation. The Falzone was short-handed after losing so many high-level members in the Purge. I didn't take a breath when reading that sentence, as you could tell. Oh my god. It also meant that only the most trustworthy remained, all of whom worked their hardest. Strangely enough, it was the weakening of the family that made them stronger. Dante had been making time in his busy schedule to have dinner with me as often as possible. The saltimbocca is delicious. Saltimbocca? Boca? Whatever. The subtly sweet aroma of the marsala sauce spiced with sage paired perfectly with the veal. Sauce spiced with sage and paired perfectly. Too much alliteration in that sentence. Anyway. Julia must be some kind of genius. How else could everything be cooked so perfectly? I was suddenly embarrassed when I noticed that he was looking at me affectionately. I'm getting carried away. We rarely had meat back at the church, so... And yes, the seafood dishes tend to be more common in Berlin, given our proximity to the sea. Right, which is why I still think of all of our meals here as a feast. I tried my best to chat with Dante through my embarrassment. He's looking at us all endearingly. Just when we were about done with dinner...
Boss, forgive me for interrupting your meal.
One of the senior members, Senor Jeremy, walked into the salon. Also Sergio, which I don't know why he has like 15 names. Like, it's weird. Everybody else just has one. Well, I mean, we call them by their first name, Dante nodded for him to speak.
Seems the Lao Shu's parent organization, the Lu Huan Hu, is behind it all.
Dante frowned upon hearing the report, but spoke calmly as usual. We've had an eye on the Lu Huan Hu, but they've been quiet all this time. I suppose too quiet. It doesn't help that we've been distracted by the government and our deals in America. What does it all mean? The Chinese value honor and prestige. We not only got rid of the Lao Shu, but we also killed one of their prominent members, Yang. Basically, we spat on the Lu Huan Hu's face, so it's no surprise their attention's on Berlin now. Dante's brow furrowed as he deduced what he could from the news. It's kind of like, well, we can't let Yang run fucking muck, right? So we have to fucking kill him, but then they're going to be mad that we did, and it's like, well, I mean, like, we're always going to be in the tough spot here, right? And this is merely speculation, but what the Lu Huan Hu likely had planned was retaliation against the Berlin Mafia. However, with the Lao Shu dismantled, they lacked the numbers to carry out the work themselves. It would take considerable amount of time and money to send soldiers here, so they must have enlisted the Visconti's help. Whether by threatening them or striking a deal, they managed to get the Visconti to fight the Falzone in their place.
They can keep their men out of the fight and destroy ours. Suppose that does make sense.
Wouldn't the Visconti be seen as the enemy by the Lu Huan Hu? Could the Lu Huan Hu have forgiven the Visconti just because they're working together? No, they're going to take him out after. At the moment, this is all speculation. We need to obtain solid evidence. Now who's saying, then what are we going to do? What? Ah! There was a part of me that was like, then what are we going to do? I was like, is Nicola back? Did he just fucking surprise us? And then, yes, he did. Yes, he did. I'm surprised. Nicola? But I thought... I could hardly gather my thoughts together at his sudden appearance. You bet! Oh god, now he's gonna die. Son of a bitch. It wouldn't be surprising, because then that counts as him being dead in Dante's route. It may only be a bad ending, but seriously. I'm gonna need Nicola to not die. The poor fucker dies in every other route. Wasn't he dead in every other route except for his own? Like, shit! Like... I came back as quickly as I could. I didn't like the sound of things here, so I decided to ship myself back to help. Ship myself back? Did you put yourself in a cargo freight? Like,
what about America?
Not to worry. I have a few things in place to keep the situation in check for the time being. Welcome back, Nicola. I have to admit your return comes as a relief. Oh, God. Nicholas smiled at Dante, and once again asked his question from earlier. What are we going to do after we get the evidence? What do you mean? Even if the Lu Huan Hu is behind this, we're still at war with the Visconti. We should hit them as soon as possible. Is that what you're saying, Nicola? Well said, Dante. You're as sharp as ever. My hunch is that, despite Gilbert's attack on us, he's not fully invested in this scenario. After all, can we really consider this a war if there haven't been any deaths? If he were serious, he would have never called you to meet with him that night, Dante. Aww. Nicola has faith in Gil. I'm still telling you, let's kidnap his lawyer. We don't have to actually hurt Oliver. We can just kidnap him and... He's a capable boss and would sever ties if it meant it would help his family, but... He's also a sap of sorts, and it's hard for him to be ruthless against those he's befriended. Nicola continued with a noticeable absence of remorse. Which is why the Falzone needs to strike now while we still have the chance. Even I knew that what Nicholas said made sense in a way. Still, I also knew that making that call would be painful to Dante. I recalled the day that Dante came home after Gil ended their friendship. What are you doing, Bird? He couldn't hide how shocked he was. And we'll discuss our future course of action later. I'm sorry, but I have urgent work to do tonight. I assume you just arrived, so make sure to have a solid rest tonight. I got it. Grazie, Dante. Nicholas smiled again. Dante nodded and left the salon.
That's it for my report, so if you'll excuse me...
Jeremy addressed Nicola respectfully and made his way out as well. I wanted to go after Dante, but second thought, it seems staying back for now would be the better decision. It was then that Julia arrived from the kitchen and discovered Nicola in the salon.
I thought Nicola left. No, but Dante's like, I gotta go, and then pieced out, and I'm like,
Oh, my young Nicola, you've returned home already. How about something to drink? Are you hungry? Thank you, Julia. Perhaps an espresso? American coffee is too weak for me. I missed Italy. Understood. Now let me get a cup ready. Julia happily returned to the kitchen to prepare Nicola's espresso. As he took off his hat and sat down across from me, I noticed his gaze and smiled warmly. Despite some reservations, I had to ask, Nicola, why did you word things the way you did with Dante earlier? The way Nicola spoke earlier sounded much harsher than usual. I know how hard it must be for Dante right now, but if he wants to protect the Falzone and Burlone itself, this is something he has to do. What do you mean? If the Visconti is acting on behalf of the Lu Huanhu, this may be an atonement of sorts. The Lu Huanhu has them fighting us to make amends for tarnishing their name. Unlike us, the Visconti have no reason to stay in Burlone, and they'd only fight for it if their foray into Chicago was being obstructed in some way. For all we know, their ticket into America rides on getting this job done. Assuming the Visconti gets rid of the Falzone and leaves to set up shop in Chicago, what do you think will happen to Burlone then? Lu Huanhu will take over. Precisely. Which is why we need Dante to abandon his humanity. Don't let Dante know about this yet. I'll speak to him when the time's right. Hey.
it's funny because he's like, you need to stop thinking about your friend and kick his ass. And Gil's over there like, I don't want to kill Dante. Like, he's my friend. Again, which is why to take Gil down, I'm not sure if it would light a fire in his ass and make him attack us, but I'm just saying it's going to break him for a few minutes, is taking out Oliver. I don't want to do it either, but it's the best course of action.
I reluctantly nodded in agreement, but it was heartbreaking to think of Dante being forced to make such a cruel decision.
And he gave you kisses. You weren't expecting it.
Ooh, chapter 6, bitches.
A fine piece indeed, exactly as I expected. Then we're all good? Indeed, I look forward to our next transaction. Yeah, we'll be looking for... What? Ah!
Well, shit's going down.
Ooh. So yeah, I told him to go back and cry to his mama. Seriously? And I bet you went straight to tell your mama about it too. What do you mean? I only go visit her after dinner. What the? Damn it! Out on the streets! Hey, Gino, you alright?
I think Gino's fucking dead, yo.
Hey, we better get going. Gotta be bright and early at the wharf tomorrow. I'm still good. Hey, Pops! Hit me again!
You're gonna get hit, but not with a drink.
Seriously? Look, everyone else has gone home already. Huh? Where'd the bartender go? What? Ah!
This is literally just scenes of us killing. Thanks for coming today. Come see me again next time.
Yeah, I'll be by again soon. See you then. Visconti H. We're up to H already. Now then, wasn't there a bar nearby? Who's there? Ah!
Don't hurt the prostitute. She's just trying to make a living.
I slammed the receiver down after hearing the report. Stronzo! Never expected the Falzone to go into hiding just because we picked off their consigliere. And I was honestly surprised by how quickly they took to action. Me and Dante made up his mind sooner than I thought he would. We're the ones who made the first move. There's no turning back now. I may have started this war, but maybe there could have been another way out of this mess. You started the war! Frustration took a hold of me, not because of them, but because of myself. Aww! I wasn't lying when I said he was my friend. This is the tragic end because you got Gilliver. I know I started the war, but I was just really hoping he would try to convince me otherwise. And now he's like thinking of Dante and like, didn't want it to come to this. Oh my god, their bromance is adorable. Oh, I hate this, but it's so good. I hate that we're having a fight between our bromates, you know what I mean? But it's so good because it hurts, and it's just brilliant. And I made a choice to put my family first. Did us no favors that Nicola came back from America so quickly. There was no escaping the end of this fight now. The only way out was through. The Visconti or the Falzone. Which one of us will make it to the other side?
Oh, it's gonna be us, because this is Dante's route, and we're taking Oliver down with us. A dinner party was being held tonight in the salon for the members of the Falzone family. It had been about 2 weeks since they first began retaliating against the Visconti. Day after day, the soldiers had been executing carefully planned attacks with great success.
You've managed to triumph against all odds, and the Falzone will never lose to the Visconti. It won't be much longer now.
Now let's continue this winning streak until we take him down. Dante and Nicholas spoke in front of the rest to boost everyone's morale. Everyone was drinking merrily and laughing like never before. Still, although the raids had been successful so far, they were still putting their lives at risk. Hey, don't bend my headset. They may have been wanting to make the most of their time while they still could. Amidst the ruckus, I noticed Dante quietly walking out of the salon for its stop. After a moment's pause, I quietly followed after him. Out in the garden, I saw him take a seat on the bench, his body tiredly hanging down. Garden. Dante tries to take a leaf out of the heroine's hair. Flashback, could you stop eating my headset? Chill the fuck out, bird. Simmer down, motherfucker!
And don't move. A breeze blew, bringing with it a dry leaf that landed upon her hair. I reached out to brush it away, but our faces were much closer than I realized. I should have done it quickly and moved away, but somehow I couldn't bring myself to do so. Her eyes conveyed her confusion. I avoided her gaze, instead focusing on my hand as I removed the leaf. At last I managed to brush it off successfully. After our conversation, Nicola departed the salon to meet with his informant, and now alone I recalled what happened earlier in the day. Even if it was only for a moment, her face and mine were unbelievably close. I understood I hadn't been careful enough. My behavior... Did she think I was acting strange? She wasn't left with that impression. I tried to recall my every word and movement, but I could hardly grasp the memory. All the details were missing except for... Her hair was so soft, and the leaf had gotten surprisingly tangled the more I tried, and that was all I could remember. If only I hadn't blundered the opportunity. I should have taken it as much of her face as I could while I still had the chance to look. With every breath I took, I gave another disappointed sigh. I love how he's just pining away! Fucking marshmallow! I love him so goddamn much. Anyway, out in the garden, I saw him take a seat on a bench, his body tiredly hanging down. As I approached him, Dante's head suddenly snapped up. What? Oh, it's you. Are you alright, Dante? Yes. No, it's no use lying to you. Dante beckoned me over to sit on the bench beside him. He stared out into the quiet night surrounding us. To be honest, feeling overwhelmed. I know that protecting the family is my top priority. But Gilbert is a man who once called me a friend. I love the fact that it hurts both of them so much to do this. Why must we fight each other? Why is violence our only course of action? I understand that honor and pride are central to our lives, but... There was a quiet desperation in his voice, a voice filled with pain and sorrow.
know any other way of life. I was born in this town and raised to become the boss of the Falzone family. I feel my legs are about to give out. It was the same last year. I thought I'd finally grown into the role, and yet still not fit to be the boss. That's not true. I looked at Dante, who had his eyes closed, and expressed to him my honest, heartfelt thoughts. I say this because I know. Dante, you've done everything possible to protect the family. Everything. Please don't forget that. Dante appeared somewhat fragile when he looked at me, but he managed to smile. Forgive my weakness. I'm ashamed of myself for wavering so easily, but I could feel in his eyes that he was reaching out to me in some way. In the past, even now, I can keep up the fight because you're with me. Space, please stay with me forever. When people will continue to die by my hands, even so, if it's possible, I don't want you to hate me. Or hate you. I held onto Dante's hand tightly. Surely there were those in this world who carried every death with them until it weighed them down completely. At the very least, I knew that was true of the leader of the Falzone family. I always thought the lives of the people in the Mafia were so different from my own. After living here, I found out that was simply not true. Alright, we'll read this after story and then we'll end this part, because, we're basically at time, but... The Visconti and the Falzone have finally declared war. They'll each drag each other into hell. I didn't need to do anything. A shame, since I was looking forward to joining the party. And if she suffers as a result of this, all the better.
See, in our bad end, Teo gets a good end, because we're going to suffer.
But after living here, I found out that was simply not true. There was only so much I could do for Dante. The least I could do was support him and stay by his side forever. And, well, we'll find out what happens in the morning in the next part. So, yeah, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a... Are you talking to the birdies that you can hear? Don't chew the headset. Oh my god, and then your beak just brushed my lip and it tickled. Oh my god. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.